And hello, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Welcome to the meeting of Online Presenters, a virtual Toastmasters club. Our mission, we empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. I'm Sergeant at Arms Sunny Fridge, aka Dr. Sunny. To our guests, a warm welcome. We're thrilled about your interest in our club. Please note, if you're interested in joining Online Presenters, you must be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches. However, if you have substantial relevant presentation experience, we welcome you to apply for membership after demonstrating your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to approval by our club members. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it displays your name and role. Hover over your video, right-click, and select Rename. And remember, please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. We have members and guests from many countries throughout the world. As a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note, we're recording this meeting. Your video and audio contribution may be used for club marketing purposes. And now, please help me welcome to the virtual stage, Club President, Joni Laidlaw. Hello, Joni.
Hello, Sunny, our Sergeant at Arms, and hello, everyone who dropped in today for our Tip-A-Thon. Now, this is not going to be the typical online presenters meeting. Today, we're going to show you the value add, as in the value that's added from online presenters. Let me introduce for you today with no further ado, because we want to get every tip in and maybe even some questions at the end, just in case something wasn't clear, our Toastmaster of the day. She's actually the president of the club, and I do believe most of us here already know her. She goes without introduction. I mean, after all, her jovial personality is enough and infectious enough to keep everybody engaged. Who am I talking about? So humbly, obviously myself, everybody. I'll be your Toastmaster of today. Now, you already heard from our Sergeant at Arms that we empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders as a part of Toastmasters. But at Online Presenters, it's actually the best Toastmasters club for those who give online presentations professionally or those who actually aspire to do so. Now, normally in our meetings, there are certain roles that we have in Toastmasters, but today, as I stated, is a special meeting. So you're not going to be seeing a grammarian or counter today because we gave them a vacation to allow everybody their ums and ers, but we do have a word of the day, which is value add. So we're going to hope everybody will use value add, an enhancement, extra feature, or benefit that increases the utility or perceived worth or market value of a product or service beyond its basic cost or function. So we're doing a value add on the Toastmasters experience today with our Tip-A-Thon. But another way we do a value add here at Online Presenters is we have special roles. That's why we gave the grammarian and all counter a break, because I know all Toastmasters, we know how to grammarian and all counter. And if we don't, we'll practice at our regular scheduled meeting next week, Monday, for us here at Online Presenters. But since we're an online club, we have special rules. For example, we have a chat monitor. And our chat monitor today is our Vice President of Public Relations. Please help me welcome Critical. Could you let everybody know what the chat monitor will be doing?
Definitely. Toastmaster Joni, it's the observer who sees the most. As a chat monitor, my role is to observe your peer engagement and transcribe your thoughts that is put into action in the chat as a summary by the end of the meeting, which will be shared as a value add to you all. Over to you, Yoni.
Now, every step you take, every move you make. Wait, I didn't copyright that and I didn't ask him. So how about we do this? In our club, we have another role. It's called the watcher. Now, when you're online, your framing is important, etc. So there's always going to be somebody watching you. Well, to help you with that, we have a specialized role here called the watcher. And today our watcher is also our chat monitor, Critical. Can you let everybody know what a watcher actually does in a Toastmasters meeting?
Oh, definitely, Yoni, Toastmaster Yoni. As a watcher, I will be watching you through the lens of a unicorn, which always does a special thing, framing yourself exactly into the way that you present yourself in a virtual Toastmasters meeting. I will give out my observation by the end of the meeting, like how you really perform as a virtual presenter. Over to you, Toastmaster Yoni.
Thank you for that, Critical. And keep in mind that when you see the little pop-up on Zoom asking you to take a picture, that's the watcher watching you. We're moving into the part that we all came for. How do we do a value add for Toastmasters? We're going to start with our first tip. Now, our first presenter is Annie Martin. She joined Online Presenters because she would like to learn more advanced techniques. Oh, our timer. You know, that is her role. And ironically enough, I did not plan for her to disrupt us when we're going off, but it's when she's going off of time. The other role that's important for our meeting today, but not specialized to online presenters, though, is our timer. And our timer, Asil, could you please explain what you'll be doing at our Tip-A-Thon today?
Thank you, Madam President, Madam Toastmaster. Good timing is a real value add in managing our time, and I have 3 colors today to show green at minimum, which is we have our speeches from 3 minutes to 5 minutes. So green will be shown at 3 minutes, yellow will be shown at 4 minutes, and red will be shown at 5 minutes. And you all have 30 seconds to wrap up your speech. And when I'm called upon, I will give my report at the end of the meeting. Also, I'll be posting the report in the chat. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much for that, Asil. And look out for that hand, either the raised one or the waved one when you are going off schedule, because she will keep you on track and not just with time. Back to our first tip, Annie Martin, as I stated, she wanted to learn advanced tips and tricks of presenting online. Now, she'll be presenting her basic 101 tips of online camera setup and ideas that have come in handy to her when she has been traveling. Now, she calls it her anytime, anywhere camera tips. Everyone, use your emojis. By the way, if you don't know where that is, at the bottom it says react. Click on react. We heart around here. We celebrate around here. We laugh around here. And sometimes when I speak, we even put up the question sign. Please help me welcome with your applause, Toastmaster, distinguished Toastmaster Annie Martin.
Joni, what a great introduction. Thank you so much. Super lovely to be here. Yes, anytime, anywhere tips. In particular, if you find yourself in a motel room. If you're traveling, it happens. It's happened to me a lot, and you get to be fairly inventive if you can. These are basic tips, but hey, I'm the first cab off the rank. I think it's a good place to start with these basic tips. If you find yourself in a motel room, you are going to set up your computer and look for the window, because what you want, if you can position yourself to have your largest light source in front of you, can you find a chair somewhere and set up so that your largest light source is in front of you, i.e. you're looking out of the window, or lights are in front, not behind, throwing shadows. Secondly, if you're traveling, obviously you'll have your laptop, but pack in your external camera if you have one, because I'm sure we all know the quality is so much better with an external camera that you can just pop up on the top of your screen, or maybe you carry a little tripod with you, not sure, but bring along those little things that make a huge difference. And then the camera level. It's hard in a motel room. They've got low desks or a bed or whatever they've got. How on earth are you going to try and get your camera level or your laptop level, if you don't have an external camera, to the level where it is framing you correctly on the screen, i.e. you're not looking like that, it's 101, or you're not looking like that. How can you get it to the right level? I have found a toaster. Oh, I cannot tell you how many times I've been on Online Presenters with a toaster under my laptop. And you might put a book under the toaster, whatever you can do to try and get up to the right eye level. It is super handy, super helpful. Now, because it's going to be different to your setup at home, you're going to have to work out, I just said gonna, I'll say that again, you are going to, that sounds a bit better, you're going to have to work out how you can get your eye level correctly so that it looks like you are looking into the camera and not down here or not up here. What I do, if I have time before an online meeting, I will run my own Zoom meeting, a solo meeting, just me. Woohoo, lots of good conversation there, just me. And I will press record, right, on a solo meeting. And then I will go, oh, I'm looking now right at myself. Oh, now I'm looking up at my camera. Does that work? No. Oh, now I'm looking here. And I will say out loud where I'm looking and I'll play it back. And it's just fascinating to see what it looks like. I used to think, oh, I have to look into my camera, but I'm going to guess that that looks pretty unnatural to you guys, but I am looking in my camera. So I find the right position and then I get a smiley face, woohoo, and I put it on my screen where I think, I'm hoping now it looks like that I'm looking right at you guys. And if it doesn't, I'm going to have to go and check again exactly where I'm looking. So that's what I do. The other thing while traveling, now when we're traveling, look at this. We've got our Hawaiian shirts or something like that. Looks a bit like a kimono, doesn't it? It could be distracting, but you know, hey, we're traveling. If you can think to remember to have something that might be a little bit more a block color, it's not always the case, but can tend to provide better contrast and not distract the other viewers who are listening to you talk. Because when we're sending messages, the whole point is not to distract other people from our messages by what we're wearing or what we're doing. And my final tip, and it's one of my favorites, and for me, I find it a great use of $70. And that is when you go to the optometrist and you get your next lot of glasses and they say to you, would you like us to put the anti-glare anti-reflective coating on them? You say yes. And why you say yes is because these are my current glasses. Still not brilliant, but not bad. Now, these are my former glasses. What do you think? Totally distracting. And this is genuine, same glasses with reflecting added, with them not. So do pack your correct glasses, and if you don't have them, think about that, because the less we can have distraction and get people to see our eyes, because that's where a big part of our message comes from, the better. So I hope that those tips have value added next time you are traveling and find yourself in a motel room. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you for those tips, Annie. And you just demonstrated that these tips might be on leadership, presentation, they might be technical, or a life skills tip, which means that not every tip we're going to get today is specifically about if you're online, press this, move here. Our next tip of the day is actually a great example of that. Now, in his tip, Andrew Smolenko will share a life skill or tip that he has learned in the last 7 months of his mental health journey. Now, I always say to everybody, shameless Toastmasters plug, focus on the positive. If you haven't checked that project out, it's in everybody's level 3. It's always a good place to start. The tip he hopes will help you to get through some difficult times. So remember, we drop the reaction, we heart, we love, we cry, we laugh. Please help me welcome Andrew Smolenko. Asking for help isn't giving up, it's refusing to give up.
Asking for help is not giving up. It's refusing to give up. My fellow Toastmasters, 7 months ago, I was in a really, really dark place. Mentally, emotionally, physically. But only few people could tell that something wasn't right with me because I didn't want to talk. That was very true. 7 months ago, I split up with my girlfriend. And being a single father of 2 children for many years, for me, that was an experience of a lifetime. Going through a middle-age crisis and just having that on top of my head and other things and piling up and piling up. I was in a really, really dark place, not wanting to speak up. According to the statistics, about 12.5% of men in England experience a common mental health disorder. Why England? Because I live in England, in Manchester, UK. Those statistics didn't mean anything to me at all. What I knew for sure that men don't talk about problems. Men supposed to be rocks for their families. Men supposed to get on and get on and get on. And then a friend of mine suggested just popping into so-called Andy's Men's Club. It's a mental health charity that supports men who need that help, who need that support. The winning part for me about that charity was it was based in the Manchester United football grounds, just round the corner from me in Manchester, where I live. I love the team. I love their suits. And it's free tea and biscuits. Every time, once a week, when you pop in, you guarantee to get that. It's a quite large charity. It runs 270 groups each week, once a week, with a substantial number of men showing up to talk about their problems. How it works, we all get together, grab a cup of tea, a free biscuit, sit down in a circle and talk about our things. Number 1, how was your week? Easy. Number 2, what's positive was in your week? Number 3, is there anything you want to get off your chest? Anything at all that's on your mind. You don't have to say anything at all if you don't want to, or you can take the whole time, an hour or so if you really need to. And questions number 4 and 5 in there, and they normally quite funny, just for us to get on with life. Like, who is inspiring you in life? Or how did you meet your loved one? The big question is, does it really work? Actually, it does. Many people that I see on a regular basis for the last 7 months, they came from all sorts of walk of lives. Some of them rich, some of them poor, some of them just managed to get through just a little things. Some people dealing with major issues that would have brought down anyone without the help and support with people. And it's not run by professionals. There's nothing to do with psychologists or psychiatrists or therapists. No, it's peer-to-peer group. It's when someone with a bit of experience just can share support or tips and help you to get through. It's when you become more experienced in realizing what emotions you're feeling right now. You can help another fellow man. Men don't talk about their emotions. Men supposed to be rocks of their family, of their communities. And is it true? it can be true until a certain point in your life. So I know probably many of you have nothing to do with mental health and we're all happy and jolly, but perhaps you have a partner, you have a brother, you have a man in your life who could benefit just from simply realizing it's okay to talk. It's okay to talk about that. And it's important to find your tribe, a group of people who would listen to you, would not judge no matter what. And please, pass the message to your man. Asking for help. It's not giving up. It's refusing to give up. Back to you, Johnny.
Thank you for that, Andrew. Now for the vulnerability, everybody, we do have to put some hearts up. Let's get our heart emojis happening. It's not easy to be vulnerable. And that's also a big part of asking for help. Knowing that persons will hold space for you and have the capacity to show that love and affection when you are actually vulnerable and reach out for help. Thank you so much for that tip. It's not always about just click here, point there. But we're moving back to click here, point there. And I know you just heard the sound effects and you heard them at the start. FYI, for those who are wondering, how did he get those letters on the screen? How did he do that with the words? It's a program, one of my personal favorite. It's called Prezi. Not one of our tips today, but guess what? Stay at Online Presenters or you come back for our next Tip-A-Thon. You may just learn how to do that. We're moving into our Sergeant at Arms music aficionado extraordinaire, the one who is able to throw various things on the screen. But today she's taking us in a very different direction. Hands up or emojis up, thumbs up emoji for everybody who knows what Chat GPT is. And if you don't, you're probably living under a rock at this point. Come on, we all know what Chat GPT is. But have you ever thought, how does that help me as a Toastmaster, not just plagiarizing other people's speeches so that you don't have to write your own? I mean, actually putting in the effort to be better at Toastmasters with the help of ChatGPT. Everybody, please help me welcome with 3 simple ChatGPT prompts, Distinguished Toastmaster Sunny French.
Thank you so much, Madam President. Sometimes the hardest part of speaking isn't the delivery. I've found that it's figuring out how to start, how to end, or how to practice in between. And tonight I'd like to share a simple tool that many of us are familiar with that can help with many things. Think about ChatGPT. It's a brainstorming partner that never runs out of ideas and it never gets mad at you. So today I'm going to share 3 simple ChatGPT prompts for speakers and Toastmasters. Now, one of the prompts that I will ask is going to be, give me 3 creative ways to open a speech about a topic. And this is perfect when you are staring at a blank page. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to share my screen, do a little bit of extra moving around, and let's hope all this works when you go live in the chat. So here is the first question that I asked. I said, give me 5 creative ways to open a speech about a favorite vacation. Chat immediately gave me 5 creative ways. I'm going to share just 3 of them in the interest of time. So think about if you were doing a speech about a vacation, but you didn't know what to do. So here's an opening. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the sounds of waves crashing, the smell of salt in the air, and the sun warming your face. That's what I experienced on my favorite vacation in Aruba. I think I said another city, another country though. Next, you could start with a question. Have you ever been somewhere so beautiful, so unforgettable that you wished time would stand still? That's exactly how I felt on my favorite vacation. Or you could begin with humor. Some vacations are relaxing, some are adventurous, and some involve losing your luggage in a country where you don't speak the language. Guess which one was mine? So there you go. You can do that when you're looking at a blank page. Now, I asked Chat to give me some creative closing lines for the same favorite vacation topic. So here was Chat's answer. Here's one called Full Circle Callback. So the next time I hear the crash of waves, I'll be reminded not just of my favorite vacation, but of the peace and joy that travel can bring. Then maybe you want to inspire action. If you haven't taken your dream vacation yet, I encourage you, don't wait for the perfect time. The memories are worth it. And then the third one, humor and warmth. And yes, my luggage did eventually find me just in time to go home, but I'll always treasure the journey more than the suitcase. And finally, we're going to do a test about table topics. And the table topics question was generate 3 random table topics question with sample feedback. And I got 3 questions, but I wanted to know how do I do that? So Chat plays the role of topics master. It'll give you 3 random questions, in this case 1, and you answer it aloud just like in a Toastmasters meeting, or you can practice and come back and say, Chat, I did number 1. Give me my feedback. Here's the information. So what I did is Chat said he'll act as the table topics master, and he gave me 3 questions. If I could instantly master any new skill, what would it be and why? Or tell us about a book, movie, or TV show that surprised you and what lesson you took from it. And 3 was, would you rather travel back in time to meet your ancestor or forward in time to meet your descendants, and why? So what I decided to do was practice my answer and then put it in the chat. So I told Chat that I answered 1, and it's going to tell me what I did well and what can I improve. So I said, I would prefer to travel forward in time to meet my descendants. It fascinates me to see how the world has evolved. And Chat actually told me that I did my preference right away. I connected personal impact, and I had strong phrases. So fellow Toastmasters, if you get a chance, try Chat GPT to be your listening partner. Back to you.
Thank you for that tip. And as a Udly ambassador, I do have to throw in there that Udly does something similar as well. If you select the impromptu quiz section, if you want to actually just practice your speaking skills, artificial intelligence is there in a number of ways. But don't worry, we're going to get more on that later on with another tip. Our next tipster is making microphones work for you. Now, when you're working online, most of the time you can effectively, well, I don't have to ignore it. It's right there. But as a presenter, we should always be aware of how it works. Now, you have this thing called outside. Shock and awe, gasp, the weirdness. You have people who do this, and it's not virtual, the horror. And though we're a virtual club, our tips can also apply to when, as the young people say, you decide to touch grass. That means going outside for all those who aren't up on nowadays lingo. Now, what he is going to be showing us how to do, since he spent the last 4 0 years, a little bit longer than I've been alive, working with microphones. And today he'll give us a short look at how to use them and what not to do with a microphone. Please, everyone, let's hold our breath, but keep our emojis up as we welcome the Vice President of Education for Online Presenters as he teaches us how to make microphones work with making microphones work for you. Graham Khan.
Toastmaster Journey, yay! Hello everybody, my name is Graham Cairns and I spent 40 years as a radio announcer and a journalist and as a public speaker, and I now give lectures on cruise ships, and I use microphones almost every day, including for a small voiceover business which I run from home. When we're presenting online, most of the time we can simply ignore the microphone because most of the time we use the microphone which is built in to our equipment. Perhaps the microphone that's built into your camera, for example, if you're using a desktop machine and you have an external camera. If you're using a laptop, then you'll almost certainly be using the microphone which is built into your laptop. And generally, for online style presentations, that works. I, in fact, don't. I have, because I am a geek, I have my beautiful Rode NT microphone which sits there and was probably going clunk clunk now as I put it back down. I really like that microphone because it gives me a nice full rich sound, and I like to do that. But that's actually not my favorite microphone. My favorite microphone is my Yeti Pro. This is the one which I actually bought to run my voiceover business on. Now, the thing about this microphone, and it's important to understand how a microphone works before I get to it. We all know that how speaker works, that is a physical speaker as in boom, diddy boom, diddy boom, 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 diddy boom, diddy boom, diddy boom. That takes an electrical signal and it makes a bit of cardboard or fiber or material. It makes it vibrate, and that vibrating turns into sound which our ears can hear. A microphone does exactly the same thing in reverse. You speak, there's a little cartridge, a little capsule which captures the sound and makes it vibrate, and that converts into an electrical signal and then goes into however you're going to be using it. So in the case of the Yeti Pro, it has not one, not two, but 3 capsules. The beauty of that and is for things like podcasts. It can have just my voice. It can have my voice and the person sitting on the other side of the microphone. It can be in stereo, or it can be omni, which is great if you're recording, for example, music. I can't play music even on a CD, so that's not an issue. But the thing is, that's not a cheap microphone. That was, I don't know, $250 Australian, which is, you know, more than I wanted to pay. That's not the sort of microphone that most of you are going to be using. So why am I telling you about it? Because it tells you that a microphone can be more than just a single stick. But this is the microphone that most of us are going to use if we're going to be presenting physically. And there are some things to know about a microphone that you need to know. One, I mentioned that a microphone works by picking up the sound coming out of your voice or whatever, vibrating on a little speaker, a reverse speaker, converting it into electrical impulses. That means it has to be pointed at the source of the sound. Now, I don't know how often you've seen people who hold their microphone and then they turn off, and of course the microphone's over here. What's it picking up? My ear. Is there any noise coming from my ear? Only if my hearing aids are feeding back. So if you're using a handheld microphone, please keep the microphone pointed at your mouth. When you turn the microphone with it. If, like Joni, you have a microphone which sits there and you want to turn away and look over to people over there, and this often happens when you're at a lectern, for example, don't just turn over and talk to them. Move your head so that when you are talking, your voice is continuing to point at the microphone. Because if you don't do that, the microphone will pick up everything except what you want to, and that is your voice. One third sort of microphone I want to show. These are also one of my faves. These I actually bought for one of my Toastmasters clubs because we have a hybrid meeting and people online have to be able to hear those in the room. And so we have a Rode wireless microphone. These are not cheap. These were about $300 Australian. You can buy wireless microphones for as little as $20 Australian, which is, I don't know, $12 US if you want to buy it on eBay. The quality is not as great, but it does the job. The thing about these microphones is that you have to get them so that you put it somewhere where it is useful. There is no point, for example, in putting it right up here, because all you're going to hear is the scratching of your beard if you have a beard, or if you don't have a beard, well, you should have if you're a bloke. And anyway, we're not going to go there. Think about where the microphone is going to go and where it is going to pick you up best. Oh, and this is important if you are a woman and you don't have clothing that lends itself easily to doing this. Think about if you're in a speech competition, for example, how is the microphone going to be fitted to you? Where is the receiver pack going to be if you don't have a belt? Think about those things when you're going to be making a presentation. Microphones aren't difficult. Oh, and I did say one thing I'd say never do. You know how you've seen people go, hello, hello. How would you like it if somebody walked up to you and started thumping you on the top of the head just to see if you were working right? You wouldn't be for very long. Toastmaster.
I don't believe if they thump me on the head, they would be working for very long, but I do believe that is a very good tip about making sure that you have your microphone correctly aligned. Now, our next tip is also about lifestyle. Yes, I know we want to improve your online presentation, but these can actually be taken into real world circumstances. Our next tip of the day, speaker.
We cannot hear you, Jenny.
Joni, you're lost.
I believe our next speaker is.
You're not hearing me? Are you hearing me now?
We are now.
All right.
Yes.
Excellent. Good, you missed the snide remark about me making something about first impressions and judging a book by the cover. And hey, if you ever get to know me, I'm the friend who you have to introduce it. Listen, she's different, but she's our friend. But in this case, Miran will actually give you some powerful tips on first impressions and how it works in shaping your chances, whether it's landing a job, opening doors to new opportunity, or making meaningful connection. Today, she'll share her insights on crafting strong introduction, building a standout LinkedIn profile, and managing your social media presence, all as they shape how people perceive you. Please help me welcome Marianne Grady. My tip, or her tip, is on first impressions. Make her feel comfortable. Let's make a good impression.
Well, thank you, Madam President. Elliot Abrams once said, first impressions matter, and experts agree, because we size up new people in as little as 30 seconds. That's not a lot of time. So we need to make sure that what we put out there, whether it's in person or online, it's critical. So first impressions shape our network, our opportunities, and our reputation. We want to stand out for all the right reasons. Today, I'm going to share 3 key areas where first impressions can make or break your professional presence. We're going to start with your introduction. Context matters, of course, but there are 2 formats that work consistently. One is the hook, who you are, and why you're relevant to this person. Imagine walking into work every day knowing that your voice matters. I've spent my career building a culture like that. My name is Marianne Grady. I'm an HR professional, and I help leaders and teams thrive. Okay, so that's the first one. Now we're going to go to format 2. This is a little less formal. So this is your name, your role or your interest, and a personal note. Hi, I'm Marianne Grady. I work in HR and I also do career coaching. When I'm not doing that, I love to read and travel. How about you? Both of these styles are authentic, engaging, and tailored to the moment. Choose one that fits your audience and purpose. Now we're going to talk about your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is the biggest professional networking site that is out there. Your LinkedIn page is your digital handshake. So here's how to make it count. Your photo, use a clear headshot with a plain background. We don't want distractions. Profiles that have photos are 7 times more likely to be looked at than those without. Now there's a headline. You should customize it. Years ago, I used to put HR professional. And then I went to a seminar and they told me to change it. So what I did was I made it say, I can help you get the job of your dreams. When I did that, my engagement just skyrocketed. Make it about what you do for others and not about your job title. The banner, that's the picture behind your profile picture. That should be your brand, your company's brand, or a picture of you in action. The summary, a lot of people just write their resume into the summary. I suggest that you write in full sentences so people can hear your voice. No bullet points here, and we don't want your work history. I also don't think you should write looking for work if you are. Instead, show your value add. Let your network work for you. Make sure that you're using keywords, which are terms that are relevant to your field. And if your profile is strong, recruiters will find you. And if you're a senior professional, I suggest writing articles. Back when I was climbing the corporate ladder, I made a promise to myself to write an article per week for 1 year. I did that, and I can't tell you how much my visibility went up, and I got many, many new followers. This made a great first impression. Now, finally, we're going to talk about your online presence. For LinkedIn and beyond, think about your posts, your comments, and even your email signature. Are they all consistent with your brand? Do they reflect your values and your strengths? Every touch point is a chance to reinforce your professional identity. You are making an impression. And if you have things out there on social media, that you were partying and vacationing and all those kinds of things, if you're doing a job search, I suggest that you might want to lock those down. I'm going to close with a quote. You've probably heard it before. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it count. Madam Toastmaster.
You never get a second chance to make a first impression is very, very true, but sometimes taking a second look, you might realize that you missed something in your perception, but always great tips in managing the perception of others. For our next tip of the day, our speaker has been in Toastmasters for the past 40 years. I'm beginning to see a trend here with our Toastmasters, probably a little bit longer than that. Now, Jim Barber will explore not so much what you say that's important. It's what order you say it in that makes the big difference. Giving his tip entitled Ending Strong, please help me welcome, and I'm going to date him with this, Advanced Toastmaster Gold. For those who know, they know. For those who don't, there used to be this thing called the manuals, which we don't do anymore. By the way, we're on Pathways, and I'm a Pathways baby. But that lets you know how long he's been a Toastmaster. Please help me welcome to End Strong, not the Tip-A-Thon, but the tip, Jim Barber.
Thank you, Joni, my fellow Toastmasters. First, I have to ask, can you hear me? Okay, good. I've had one of those days. I have a value-added presentation for you in that I'm going to be giving you two different tips tonight. However, in the interest of time, I'm going to put the technology tip in the chat. For the time being, I want to focus on a presentation tip. As Joni indicated, it is so important that you put the important part of what you're saying at the end. For example, an obvious example of this is the joke. Nothing messes up a joke better than to put the punchline someplace other than at the end. You want to lead up to the punchline, deliver the punchline at the end. That's the way a joke works. Your speech, though, is going to be the same sort of thing. Your opening is very, very important. In fact, I would say it's the second most important part of your speech. But the most important part, the part that people are going to remember, is the closing of your speech. Which brings me to an auxiliary tip here. Thank you is not the most important part of your speech. Or at least I hope it's not the most important part. So don't close your speech with thank you. There's nothing wrong with expressing gratitude to your audience, but don't do it at the very close. Put your most important part after that. For example, you could say, thank you very much for listening to me tonight, and I want you to remember that, and then you give your closing. Now, it's not just in your speech. Each paragraph, each thought in your speech, you should put the most powerful thing, the most important thing at the end. This could be the most important part of the thought. It could be a segue to the next thought. But whatever it is, you want to end each paragraph, each thought, with a definitive statement of what you are doing. This can be actually done on as small a granularity as a single sentence. Put the most important part, the most important words at the end of your sentence. For example, suppose I gave you the sentence, to my surprise, my long-lost puppy dog was sitting there on the doorsill when I opened the door. Now, that's okay, but I'll give you exactly the same sentence, but change the order a little bit. To my surprise, when I opened the door, there was my long-lost puppy. Put the important thing at the end. Door was not the important part. Puppy was the important part. Restructure your sentence and put that at the ending part. So, thank you for your attention this evening. But remember, whenever you're speaking, save the best for last. And I'm going to violate what I just said because I see that I have time. I'm going to give you my technology tip for today. I should preface this with it is my personal opinion. It does not represent the opinion of online presenters or of Toastmasters, but it represents the kind of day that I have had. My technical tip for the evening is don't trust technology further than you can spit. I think that's a valuable tip. It's something that may help you. It's helping me an awful lot. Anyway, I've used up my time. I'm going to turn it back to her. Joni, take it away, Joni.
All right, sigh of relief. You never get a second chance to make a first. Please, please, please. The fun of online presenters, though, is that we do get the opportunity to speak our mind, and sometimes we have words that start with F and end in ire truck. So we have to make sure that when we do impromptu, we hold our breath so that we can actually end strong, but in a good way. Our next tip for today will be done by Allison Blakeman. Now, I did ask, so she gave me permission because you know what? I'm going to call her out because guess what? It's her birthday. We're not going to do the Go Shorty, it's your birthday version. We are going to, however, unmute and sing her some happy birthday before she presents her tip. So everybody unmute, and we're going to have a very nice online presenters choir. After 3, 1, 2, 3. Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
you. Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear
Allison. Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to you.
you.
Woo! Excellent. Thank you, online presenters. And with that, I will introduce our Vice President of Membership. Obviously, it's her birthday today. I don't need to reiterate that, but she will be giving us a tip on a little black book to change your life and the keys to enhance your success. Now she's stepping in impromptu. So as if that was not difficult to begin with, I've already added the added social embarrassment of having to stand there and have happy birthday sang to you. So this is going to be a tip on after being asked to do a tip impromptu and having the added pressure of having happy birthday sung to you. Please help me welcome Alison Blakeman as she presents on a little black book to change your life, keys to enhance your success.
Thank you, Madam President and Madam Toastmaster of the day. Welcome, everyone. So thank you for that wonderful birthday song. It really touches my heart. Have you ever worked with someone that infuriated you to no extent? You wanted to just wring their neck until they started squeaking. I had that happen. What I didn't expect was that person would change my life. Situation was, this person would constantly pass work off and avoid work in the telecom industry. One day I was so fed up, I confronted him. I walked over and I said, "Joe, you've been here for 25 years. I've been here for 3 years. How do you not know your job? How do you not understand the telephony circuits, how they work?" And he was a little bit shorter than I was. Joe looks up at me and he gets this arrogant smirk on his face, and I wanted to punch him. I wanted to punch him right there in the middle of the shop. And and he looked at me and smirked, and he reached around and he pulled out of his back pocket a little black book. And Joe said these so profound words to me. He said, "You don't have to know everything, but you have to know who does." That is a profound value add and a profound life lesson that almost 25 years ago changed my life forever, because I stopped that day and I was infuriated with him, but he changed my life for the better because of those words, that you don't have to know everything, but you have to know who does. In this Tip-A-Thon, or value add-a-thon is what it really was, because I took tremendous notes from each one of our tip speakers. Andre opened up and exposed himself to us to let him know and to let us all know that we are human and it's okay to ask for help and to reach out. Annie talked about setting up a webcam when we travel. Graham talked about the microphone, the importance of it. Marianne discussed with us our online profile, our first impressions. All of those combine into our online presentation and presentations in person. So I hope this helps you, these lessons that I learned. We can learn on each other. A couple months ago, I received a phone call in the middle of the day. It was a number from a Mississippi number. And it was our Sergeant at Arms, Dr. Sonny. I was shocked. Dr. Sonny's calling me in the afternoon. Uh-oh, is it an emergency? And Dr. Sonny had a technology question for me. So in our lives, whatever you're doing, don't ever feel inferior about something, because we're not experts at everything like David Carr is. David knows everything about everything. But if there's an area that we don't know, listen to Andre's suggestion that it's okay to ask. And reach out and ask someone. Graham can help us set up our microphones. If we're doing voiceover podcasting, Graham can give us advice. If we're looking for a job, searching, or want to update our profiles on LinkedIn or our professional career, Marianne is the one to go to. We have an extended, enormous amount of opportunity. I love keys. I have what I call, passing on to my children, called Allie's Keys to Life. And I'm putting in the chat what I believe keys stand for. They stand for knowledge enhances your success. That the more you know, the more and greater the chances are and the odds are that you will succeed and be successful. And lastly, I want to share with you the quote, and I hope you will take this with you as a value add for today. You don't have to know everything, but you need to know who does. I'm terrible at maintenance around my house. If you need to write a letter, a professional letter, you need help with a computer, you need someone to stand up and speak and give a presentation, I'm your person. If you need someone to hang the blinds, don't call me. I'll spend 4 hours and the blinds will still fall down. Call someone else. I know who does plumbing. I know who does electrical work. You know who does. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Joni, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Thank you all. I hope you found value in this life lesson that I learned the hard way. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Allison. And guess what? The person you know might not even be in your geographical location, but the beauty of technology is it opens up your network. Again, shameless Toastmasters plug. There is a networking project for that. So no matter what it is, Toastmasters actually has a project somewhere. And when it comes to being a know-it-all in that area, I like putting myself up there for, there's a project for that. So if you have any questions, you can let me know. And if I don't know, I can guarantee I'll find somebody who does. His name is usually our next presenter, by the way. He tends to be my go-to for, Andy, why is this on Toastmasters? Andy, what did the board decide that they're going to do again? Andy, so he is one of my references for the when my know-it-all fails. Now, today he is going to be giving us a surprise tip of the day. Why? Because the topic is on artificial intelligence. Now, in the world of Canva, there's Zoom AI, there is AI everywhere, even when you don't want it. And I've said for a number of times, as much as I love it, it should be opt-in, not opt-out. But with AI everywhere, doing everything, the question is it good or is it bad for presentations? So please help me welcome Dr. Andrew Burns, who will actually let us know if artificial intelligence is good or bad for presentations.
Thank you very much, Joni, and fellow Toastmasters and guests that are visiting with us. What I'm going to do is I'm going to outline this huge topic of AI and how it's impacting presentations. I've sent in the past some examples of that, but let me go through the slide set that I have, and I'm sure there'll be questions at the end if there's time. First, is artificial intelligence good or bad for presentations? That really depends upon the individual listening and depending upon what you feel about it. The question really is, what do I need to know? What do I need to know in this whole area? And I have an answer for you there. And this is doing some strange things. What you need to know is what applications fall into many different categories. But the categories I want to tell you about is one, there are creation applications using natural language without having to know coding. And what does that mean? It means that if you open this application, you can talk in English and it will execute based upon what you've asked it to do. An example of that, and I sent it to the group, is I created a Toastmaster timer by using the correct prompts available on request, and it does a great job. The thing I was looking for in a timer was the ability to expand it or contract it on the size of the screen. And this one does that. Secondly, you can create an entire presentation by using prompts. It's known as prompt engineering. And I sent that to you guys previously. I did a whole Toastmasters presentation, 22 slides that talked about everything you'd ever want to know about Toastmasters. Great for a new beginner. Took about 30 seconds to create the whole thing. And the reason it's working that way is because of two things. One is called LLM, which you may not know what that means. It means large language model. It's how they take all of the information out there and they convert it into these algorithm models that the computer can then understand. The second one is MCP, which means model context, that should be an X, context protocol. What that does is it allows the computer to actually think for you and to do multiple steps on thinking. Now, I encourage all of you to take out your computer programs that can copy a page or a screenshot and take a look at what we have here. Reading from the left, this column is actually what the topic is. And as you go to the right, these are some examples of software that has been AI infused. The first one is Prezi. And using natural language, you can have Prezi create an entire presentation, slides and all, in about 30 seconds. Keynote has been AI infused. Keynote is Apple's presentation program. PowerPoint is Microsoft's presentation program. Slides is Google's presentation program. And Canva is trying to become the default presentation program for people that know how to use Canva and Canva AI. You can create whole presentations and slides using the self-generating AI in Canva. That comes down to another category, creation. And Sunny talked about ChatGPT that can create a PowerPoint slide. You can use ChatGPT prompts to create PowerPoint slides. You can use generative AI that focus on creating pictures, scenarios, and videos. You have another program called Base 44, which actually helps you create applications. And here's the line for the Toastmasters application that I created with this program. You also have Mind Maps from Iowa, and Notion incorporates creation products as well. If you're doing research on a topic, you have Notion, ChatGPT, Gemini from Google, Microsoft has Copilot, and Linear. There's also Claude, Perplexity, Zapier, and Capto. And that comes down to the last category of capturing what's on your screen. You have system softwares that can do it, Snagit, Camtasia into movies, Zoom, and Airtime. So these are things that you can do if you want to look at the programs. I'm not going to expect you to do anything other than take a screenshot of this. This is AI as it currently exists right now. And since I'm out of time, I'm just going to flip through focused on these different areas. It talks about the tools that you have. You can summarize anything that you have. I have one program, an AI with Iowa, where you can put a video, a PDF, a book on there, and it breaks it down into mind maps to help you learn what's the material is there. You have nuance in generating your prompts. And I'm going to go down to the last thing because I'm getting the blinking light. Know that you have lots of books on this, about 40 books on this on Amazon. And what you need to know is what's next, know your audience, know your message. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you for that, distinguished Toastmaster Andrew. For now, everyone, we have gone through all of our tips, and there's one more role that's usually at Online Presenters as a special part of our meeting, and it's the vote counter. For today, however, we're foregoing the actual vote for Best Speaker table topics, but I do want to know, who is your favorite? as it relates to whose tip did you like the most today. If you look in the chat, you will actually see a link to our handy dandy website. Now, that's normally where we sign up for roles. We have all our information on the online presenters experience, but there's also this beautiful handy dandy vote tool. And if you click there, you'll be able to vote for your favorite tip today. And you never know, I might announce it or I might keep it to myself and give them the kudos privately. I get to do that. I get to be president. If we have any questions, I saw that we had one in the chat and it was answered. Here is going to be the time when I allow us to ask some questions while we vote. Does anybody have any questions? Was it clear as mud? Was so fabulous. Go ahead, David.
I have one for Marianne, actually, which is about those posts that say, I'm sorry to say I've just been cut loose from organization X. If anybody has anything, please hit me up. And it's a natural thing to do. It could be helpful in some cases, but I think you talked about it too, about putting open to work on your profile is not necessarily helpful. You don't want to seem kind of needy, but I just wonder if you have any thoughts about how to handle those situations. You probably do want to announce that you're available. Particularly for me, I would say I'm available for freelance, I'm available for contract. Hopefully I won't be laid off again anytime soon, but I've been there.
I don't see a problem reaching out to your network and saying that you're free for whatever kind of job. What I'm saying is don't put it on your profile because you don't know who's looking at it. I also prefer not to put that request out, just like I said, but I think the better way is to make targeted requests to people in your network who you think perhaps can help you. Because I have thousands of people in my network, they all don't need that information. They really don't. But I do have a handful of people who might be really able to help me. So those are the people I would reach out to via private message. Does that answer your question?
No, I think it's helpful.
All right, so do we have any other questions from our tipsters or for our tipsters today? Since I'm not seeing any takers, I will ask for our chat monitors report. Critical, can you let me know what happened in our chat today?
Definitely, Yoni. There was a highly engaging chat with every single member who have poured their wishes, their questions, their thoughts, and there were also comments from the guests, like they would be taking it into action from the tips that they have learned today from our online presenters. It's quite an engaging way that all our members have fruitfully supported each other among ourselves, bringing in the value add so that we reach out to outside members virtually onto the stage with confidence. Online Presenters is a place where you can nurture a safe, growing environment, and that's what is exactly presented in today's chat. We had quite important level of engagement, like sharing the motivational quotes, bringing in peer support, and also sharing Allison's birthday wishes, as well as few thoughts and tip of the day shares from the presenters themselves as images, as links, and many different versions of engagement is there on the chat. I request you all to save a copy of the chat after your meeting so that you can take it as a remembrance and you can have a reference to our meeting more than rehearsing the whole, or more than just going through of all the chat on a whole. And to summarize, we had 100% of safe growing environment and a safe way of chatting with each other in today's meeting. Over to you, Yoni.
All right, because you have another role, I'm not gonna unspotlight you yet, but I will say, here's another tip. If you wanna save the chat, the 3 dots, ellipses, that I learned from another tip of the day here at Online Presenters, because guess what? We actually do a tip of the day at the start of every single one of our meeting as a way to add value. Since you're also the watcher, Kritika, can you let me know what did you see, and did any of us click on that link that you sent in the chat about the photo?
I would be delighted to do that, Yoni. To quickly summarize about today's meeting, we had a good golden ratio of presenting ourselves in the meeting. To share that as a moment to all of us, I will just quickly share my screen. Here we are. We have a good representation of presenting ourselves in a spiral image window where we centered ourselves in the Zoom with the Zoom background positioned exactly. Whoever were on camera, we were doing great. Then the second thing which I wanted to highlight here is about the way that Andrew wanted to present himself. Andrew was having slightly of a lighting issue where he was glowing and his background was blurring on a whole. The content which was shared, an important technology-based update, was moving forward and backward with less clarity in the way that we were able to visualize on the online presentation meeting. So angle was good, framing was perfect, lighting seems to be like kind of little blurry in this presentation, in his presentation. And the third important screen which I wanted to share here is this, the presentation that Sunny made. This was a good example of presenting a dynamic symmetry where she has exactly created a partition of her screen with the share as well as with a photo that she wanted to project herself. The content was clear and the source from which she has taken that she wanted to promote was also clear. The way that she wanted to project herself was presented in a dynamically symmetrical way as it is required for a photographer or as it is required for from the point of view of a camera. The last tip to one of our presenter who is great at, I really love his presentation and I do not want to have a second thought about saying that I truly admire the way, the number of words that you utter during your presentation. But one important thing which I noted here is the wide angle view of yourself being seen on the screen. This makes us less comfortable for a visualizer or a online presenter who wanted to project themselves in a much more appealing way. As a presenter with the speaker and a mic in your hand, it was quite difficult for us to showcase your hand gestures as well as to see you presenting in the golden rule or in the golden ratio format. Instead, it was in a wide angle view that made us little uncomfortable. And this is all about today's meeting.
Thank you.
Presentation, and this is what I wanted to present to you all as a watcher. Over to you, Yuri.
Thank you so much for that, Kritika. And just like that, time flies so quickly. What I'm gonna do is, because this is about the time that we should be adjourning, I'm gonna ask that you bear with me for just one more minute. Our times are in the chat. Madam Timer, sorry I didn't call on you, but I did see that. I decided I'm going to announce our favorite tips, and tied in second place are Annie and Allison for second place, which means that our favorite tip for today, though it used technology, wasn't even on technology. It was a tip on mental health. So if that doesn't give it away, with who had our best tip? Everybody unmute and please give me a round of applause for Andrew Smolenko. Sometimes it helps to be vulnerable. You have no idea how valuable your tip will actually